Hey, man.
Ahoy.
How are you?
I'm good, man. Just, trying to get back in the swing of work after having a really awesome week off. And you've been off for 5 weeks now? Not off. You've been doing stuff. You've been doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
Most
true.
of which I don't even know about.
Yeah.
We have a lot to cover in this episode. And
Right.
I think the best thing we can do for ourselves, for our listeners, and for our advertisers giving us a ton of money, let's just jump right into it.
All right. You want to start the show?
Let's do it.
So tell me about California, man.
Ooh, there's a lot of stuff.
Okay. Well, let's section it off. Or we could just start at the beginning. It was a podcast conference, in short, right?
Yeah, it was a podcast conference. It was called Podcast Movement.
It's a good name for a podcast conference.
It's not bad. It's
It's solid.
So, yes, I attended that, what was it, Tuesday through Friday. I really had no idea what I was getting into. I was kind of nervous, mostly because whenever this Podcast Movement Facebook page would post something, it would get maybe 5 interactions on it.
That's not a good sign.
Right. So I fly to California.
I think our show does better than that.
So most weeks.
Not by a lot, but I'm just saying.
So I fly to California. I spent a good amount of money. It's not crazy. It was pretty reasonably priced. But I get there on Tuesday morning, very early. I got to my hotel at noon, and check-in wasn't until 3, and I was so tired from everything that happened on Monday, which we'll get back to that later. And I was like, please let me in a room. I will do anything. I just want to go to bed. And they're like, well, maybe at 2. So I was walking around Anaheim. I was sitting at a Carl's Jr., had their food for the first time, which, by the way, would recommend. Pretty good burger joint.
I saw your tweet, and I didn't want to break it to you, and I hate to break it to you, but it's a national chain.
Oh, I know.
You know this, right?
Oh, I know.
Okay.
I'm not stupid.
Okay. You tweeted Carl's Jr. fries for the first time, and I was I couldn't tell if you were might never leave Cali thanks to this nice little burger joint, this hole in the wall I found. I don't want to call you out on Twitter hey Tom, just quick FYI,
I've seen their hypersexualized
Hardee's in Illinois.
I've seen their hypersexualized commercials all over TV.
Yeah, I mean they go for it in terms of the sex sells. They don't really dance much around. They're pretty forward.
Right.
I can't say I've ever eaten there. I can't say their ads have added or subtracted. It's mostly a Jay Moore bit on his radio show. He's just every once in a while he'll just do the voice new at Carl's Jr. And he'll just say the nastiest collection of words he can think of. Anyway. But I'm surprised you thought the fries were good, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I really
because they're
I really liked him. It was the closest thing to me, and I had to sit there for 2 hours. And it was really weird because, it was right around the corner from the hotel. A very lovely 2-star travel lodge, the cheapest thing I could find. And this lady, as I was walking there, was harassing me for money. And I was like, sorry, I don't have anything, which is true. Who carries cash?
Right.
So I sit down at this Carl's Jr., and who sits next to me but this lady who was just harassing me. She didn't say anything else, but it was a little uncomfortable.
Sure.
Whatever. So I get in the hotel, and there's a pre-conference itinerary with a couple things orientation and how to get the most out of the conference. I thought all right, I'll take a 20-minute nap and then I'll head off to that. And then there was a screening of a documentary, and I had every intention of enjoying both, trying to engage with people. I fell asleep, and then I woke up 8 hours later at 10:30 at night or something.
Oh, no. And then you were up all night?
Not really, actually.
You just went right back to bed.
Yeah, I talked to Megan for a little bit. I ordered 2 large pizzas, which there's more on that to come as well.
I kind of want to hear about it now.
I talked to Megan for a little bit, and then I found this show called
Just real quick, did you finish both of them?
No, the intention was for the pizzas to last for 3 days, which I continued to eat for breakfast and dinner 3 days in a row.
So you followed through on that plan.
Yeah, I ate.
Did you bring Tupperware with you, or did you just carry the box around?
No, like I left it in the hotel. It had a mini fridge.
Oh, it sounds like your Run Forever days a little bit. Only you would have been scavenging for the pizza in dumpsters.
I would have been in a dumpster finding the pizza.
Yeah, so you've moved up.
Right. So I watched like this. I talked to Megan for a little bit. Watched this show called. It's like Forged in Fire. It's like a blacksmithing. Sword making like competition show, and I kind of loved it, which I'm like embarrassed to admit. But
is it one of those typical reality shows? Like, I don't know if Skylar's going to step up to the plate this week. Let's see if he can make that metal flat. Hey, my name's Skylar. I think I'm ready, but I don't know. But we'll see. I'm going to bring the most I can to this challenge and trying to kick the shit out of this metal after I heat it.
It was more like Chopped.
I'm not familiar with that program either, unfortunately.
Maybe less drama, but it was good. Slept through.
But still, like a reasonable amount of blacksmith drama, because you don't want too much, but you don't want too little either. In as far as blacksmith drama goes,
so it ended up being super good, and I just like fell back asleep probably around midnight, and then I slept until like 7 the next day. So I got caught up on sleep, or so I thought. And yeah, so anyways, I have no idea what to expect from this conference. If you're looking at their Facebook numbers, there's like, a ton of people who like the Facebook page, like tens of thousands, but no one was engaging. So I get there, it said check-in was from 8 to 10, and I show up at 8, and there's like no one there. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be here with like 5 other people, and I got all panicked. I checked in. And I actually wrote a blog post about it on the website. It's on elemental.fm/blog. I went and like sat in the bathroom with all my stuff, and I just sat there on the toilet, like having not an anxiety attack, but a plethora of anxiety all coming, through me at once. Just thinking like, dude,
why? Because you had spent so much money on pizza and flights? Or was it the amount of drama in your blacksmith program?
So
you sat on the toilet like, I don't know if Skylar's going to pull it off next week.
So
I don't think he has it in him.
It was kind of like there were people there, but there wasn't very many, so it almost felt more awkward than if there were like a bunch of people there. And I'm not the kind of person who just goes up to someone and talks to them. I'm very sheepish when it comes to social interactions. You might say introverted.
I don't think anybody wants to, or even wants anybody else to. But I guess this would be an exception if you're at a convention where the ideas are supposed to be shared.
Right.
But if it makes you feel any better, I've dived into bathrooms when I felt awkward at like my own family gatherings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty standard, like, oh, excuse me, gotta pee. Like this awkward silence lasted 7 seconds too long, so I'm gonna go try really hard to urinate.
Yeah, so it kind of felt like that, and just thinking like, dude, I was hoping for like this good networking thing to meet new people, and I don't think I have it in me to do it. I just kind of want to like go back to I kind of just wanted to go back to the hotel room and like not
sleeping again,
not be there. It was like really bad anxiety.
But like, why? Just because you didn't think you were going to get out of it what you wanted?
Yeah, that, and I was
there
super
scheduled
nervous.
Speakers and stuff?
Yeah, for sure, there were. And it turns out that was actually like the least useful part of anything. Which
the speakers?
Yeah. But
so what happens next? You come out of the bathroom. There's more people there. The vibe gets good.
I come out of the bathroom. There's like a Starbucks in this. We were at like the Marriott in Anaheim, Marriott Convention Center. Yeah. So I go to the Starbucks. I'm standing in line, and like almost immediately, this dude comes like running up to me, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, sick beard. There's this other guy I met, and he has a great beard. And we met this other guy's name's Drew. He doesn't have a beard, but like, he's running a network, which sounds like what you're doing. At this point, we talked a little bit, about like, he's like, so what are you doing, So he's like, I know this guy and I just met him. I want to introduce you to. So he like introduced us and like really interesting conversation. They were really fun to talk to. And then, we like exchanged business cards and, emailed each other and got each other's phone numbers, and then they just kind of went away.
What's the name of their network?
God.
Sorry, man.
American. It was funny because it was like American Podcasting Company, which is, I remember being shocked because in the startup podcast of Gimlet Media, that was like his first idea for what to name their podcast network. And their investor was like, no, that's awful. And I remember being like, did this guy listen to startup and just take his like B name, like,
interesting.
But he was really nice. If I'm thinking of the same person, I met so many people throughout the week there. But then I didn't really see him again. And I did the classes and they were so fast. It was like a 25-minute class and then a 15-minute Q&A and then it was done. So I feel like there wasn't that much time to really
classes on like what?
Or they were like lectures, I guess. Like
right. Like how many the first day on what?
Like the first day it was like, how to reach a niche community using social media or something. And it very quickly became clear that all the speakers there had some service that they were also trying to sell you on a little bit. So like the first class was like how to boost SEO so that your podcast shows up when they search for your keywords. And then they were like, I'm the founder of this, website. And if you go to our website, you can do this and it helps you. And I was like, damn, dude, I just paid a bunch of money to get sold stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was like the very first class. I was kind of tweeting. I was like live tweeting my thoughts about the class. Like, I think I'm just being sold, like that's kind of how it felt.
Right.
And it got better over time. Some were more helpful than others. One of them was a total waste of my time. They had some description of what the show was. And then the guy just talked about himself the whole time. And it was like, dude, what the hell, But the classes were like, there was some good stuff. But on the second day, closer to the end of the day, I'm sitting there on my computer. I'm writing a blog post about day 2, which I hadn't actually finished because this guy, she started talking to me. And it was like, it was one of those super weird things where like, you knew that like he also knew the point was to like connect with people. And he was just like, hey, dude. And I like look up. We were like working, like facing each other for like a half an hour. And he said something. I was like, hey, man, what's up? He's like, I know it's like super weird, but you just look like the kind of guy that I'd probably get along with. So I thought I'd introduce myself. And then like it seems so like fucking awkward, but that's just like what you're supposed to do, is the whole point of the thing.
Well, you went to a convention. You're supposed to network. I mean, you put yourself in this situation, Tom.
I know, but
and then you did like everything you could to not see humans.
I know, that's just me,
So this guy's saving the week. Like he's beginning to turn this thing around. This guy's pulling you from the abyss with his super awkward freshman year introduction.
This single interaction is what made the entire trip. And let me tell you why.
Well, who's this hero's name?
So his name is Jeremy.
Jeremy, thank you.
I don't know if any of them are going to listen because actually the thing that was interesting is we talked about what we were doing, but I guess I was afraid to talk to people because I didn't want to seem like this is my network. These are my shows. Listen to them. Like everyone would be trying to sell each other on the concept of their show. And that ended up like not being at all like what it really was. Like I talked in detail about like what the network is about and what my role is in it. But I was never like, trying to get anyone to listen to it, like I don't even think I told people what the name of the show was because that like wasn't how the conversation was going really. Like if they asked, I'd tell them. But so this kid and I start talking and I was like, yeah, dude, to be honest, I was trying to peek at your phone to see if I could see what kind of music you were listening to. And he was like, well, what are you listening to? I was like, well, I'm listening to Every Time I Die, but I was like, just listening to Taylor Swift a second ago. And he was like, oh, dude, did you hear about the new Taylor Swift song? And then this kid who happened to be passing by started flipping out about Taylor Swift. And like he had already met this Jeremy guy. His name was Chris, one of the most eccentric people I've ever met. He was incredible. And the three of us were sitting there, I mean, like screaming about Taylor Swift and her new album that's coming out. And that attracted this guy who writes for Vice to come over and wanted to interview us about how this article he's writing is about how podcasting now is like the DIY punk scene in like the late 80s or something, and how like it's super scrappy and there's like no gatekeepers, and that, you know, that like rock kind of stuff evolved into like what is top 40, and you know, just trying to relate it to like a pastime in music. And then he joined our group, and then some other guys came in, and we all ended up like going out to dinner together, hanging out. And I just like, I felt like I had like my crew at that point, you know? And
sure. Familiarity in the new place, if nothing else.
Right. So like there was like some
and you're part of this writer's narrative now too, so I mean,
right. So he interviewed us. It was pretty cool.
He was there for the conference itself.
Yeah, he wanted to cover it for the story
right.
he's writing.
Sure.
So there was like this luau type party thing on Thursday night, because we had just a short day Friday, and like we all went and hung out, and then we were talking to a bunch of other people, and it just turned into this thing that was really natural, where like, you know, one of the guys, that Jeremy guy, he actually is self-employed, and he makes his living just editing people's podcasts and producing them, and, you know, like consulting on like how to start your show. And he's like, dude, I mean, we have a lot of the same background, the same experience. You already tried to do podcast editing on Upwork, and I stopped because some dude scanned me, and I was just like, F this, you know? But he was like, you know, I had a full-time job, and I make more now just editing podcasts at home and doing stuff like that. I think you should give it a shot, or like, you know, at least another shot. And that was really, I was like a good thing to hear, you know?
That was like what you probably secretly, not so secretly wanted to hear.
Yeah, for sure. Like there's kids my age who are self-employed or, you know, have podcasts with tens of thousands of listeners talking about, you know, just some different stuff. It seems like the narrative documentary journalist type thing is like what's really most successful right now. And a lot of people were doing that there. I kind of felt like the outcast, like doing like the talk show type stuff. And to me that felt weird because that's all I listened to really. But everyone, like, once everyone had like their crew, other people felt like more comfortable approaching like us and talking to us, because we
you guys were the rock stars, dude. You were the DIYers of the 1980s punk scene.
We'll go down in history, man.
And Sid Vicious, dude.
So,
is that even an appropriate? We'll check later. I don't even think that's the right reference. Digging myself into a hole.
Right. So that ended up being awesome. We're all Facebook friends. We like hung out and like got food after the fact. You know, Vice dude, we kept calling him, like every time someone would like introduce themselves to us, we would introduce him as the owner of Vice, and like
nice.
Just all this, you know, stupid shit. Like,
yeah, just having a good time.
Yeah. So like he just emailed me today. He was like, "Hey man, it's the owner of Vice," you know? Like,
right.
But the absolute best thing that came from all of it, I don't even know if I don't think I even talked to you about this. There is a guy who goes by Andrew Warner. He is the founder of Mixergy, which has its own podcast. In the podcast, he interviews like crazy successful entrepreneurs, and he gets them to tell their very intimate and very personal stories about, you know, their failures before this company, how they think they failed with this company, could have done better, how their work affects their marriage, how much money is in their bank account, like really intense, like personal questions, you know? I emailed him before the conference and asked if we could meet up and I could like buy him a drink or something. And he sent me his cell phone number. And I was thinking like, he's just being nice. You know, he doesn't actually want to meet up with someone who's probably not, you know, he could figure out pretty quickly doesn't actually have like a big following, like might not be of any use to him, I guess. But on the first night, he texts me and he was like, hey man, you know, how about now? Like, you want to go out? And I was like, God.
He was going to record you?
No. He just wanted to like, you know, I asked if we can go out for drinks and he was just saying like, how about now? Do you want to go? I was like, oh my God, dude, this guy's like so intimidating. He makes so much money doing what he does. Like, he's such an authority in this field. I felt like I was just wasting his time, you know? And I thought
sounds like the wrong attitude to have for a young entrepreneur.
Right. It totally was. But we go to like the bar in the hotel. She orders a scotch. I get a root beer. And
as is tradition.
Right. And before we started talking, I was like, damn, dude, I feel so nervous. What am I going to say to this guy? But then he started interviewing me like he does the people on the podcast. Like, just, you know, are you making money? How much? Why aren't you making money? How do you plan on making money? How much do you need to sustain like your bills? And there were a lot of things that he asked that like weren't really like relevant yet because I wasn't at that point. And if we came across something like that, he was trying to help me figure out like what to do in the future, like what he thinks would be smart or the best way to make money, what I should be doing. And then at this point,
he probably hears like the typical tale after doing so many of those types of interviews, you know?
Right. So he's like giving me a lot of advice and I immediately feel comfortable. And we're just kind of having a chat, you know? And
hey, was this mentor dude? You like wanted a mentor?
That was Mike Hurley, the founder of Relay FM that I'm still going to be in touch with next month.
Okay. So this is okay. My bad.
Yeah, it's okay. So different guy. And this was like the pinnacle.
Because you told me an anecdote about wanting to get scotch for a dude that was also going to watch you drink root beer.
No, so that was the same guy. I wasn't really thinking too much about him as a mentor.
It's okay. I'm just getting it straight in my head that you have a pretty specific play in these scenarios.
Right.
Okay, can I get you a whiskey? I'm getting root beer, brother.
Right. So yeah, he's that guy.
Okay.
And he's asking like what my role is with the network. And I tell him I'm, you know, editing and mixing shows. I'm doing the show notes, like basically anything but talking into a microphone for the other shows. And at this point, someone else who listens to his podcast is sitting at the table with us. And he was like, well, why aren't you charging your hosts money to do the production for them? And this is something that like, you know, a dozen people have asked me, like, why are you working for free? As your network, they should be paying you to do all this back end work because that's like the hard stuff, you know? And I think you've even said something like that. My dad and mom have for sure. Megan's brought it up. And I was telling him like that wasn't really my vision. Like another thing that helped at the conference is telling so many people what I'm trying to do. It really helped me get like the elevator pitch down, like be able to explain what I do exactly in like 15 to 25 seconds, you know? So I explained to him and it was so amazing because I thought Andrew, who's like talked about money a lot, would be like, yeah, man, you should be making money as fast as possible, you know, whatever. He was like, no, I don't think that's what you should be doing. I think you have a really good idea. I don't think enough people are doing that. And I think it's a different approach to a podcast network. And that was like a lot of validation, I felt like.
Did he give you a way to make that work for your finances?
I mean, he was saying that he doesn't think with how niche the shows are that like, you know, the standard CPM advertising route would be best because we're not going to get millions of listeners because there aren't that many people interested in the things that like the shows are going to talk about. And like I was already aware of that. I knew that wasn't going to be the case. He was talking about, you know, direct sponsorships. Like if your show talks about a product, that place should be paying you to talk about it, and you can be like using, there's a thing called Amazon affiliates where if someone buys the thing you talked about from your page, you get like a pretty good amount of money from it, like a good percentage. And I mean, like I had this business model in my head, and he was just telling me that he thought it sounded right. Like it sounded like something I should be doing. It's something that could be successful. But that's not even the best part, Pat. It's not even.
I mean, like, so what does give me the elevator pitch, and how'd you describe our show to them?
Sorry, my dog is just like screaming in the background.
Levi's part of the show, dude. Right. Don't disrespect the fam.
So what I told people is that our show was just the show that was supposed to help, the show I was going to make my mistakes on so I can learn how to do it for the, those shows we were actually going to focus on to try to monetize. Right. But the elevator pitch.
What'd they say to that?
They were like, yeah, definitely. I mean, you have to actually do it, So I told them, we started this show like 3 months before anything else launched, and we made the mistakes. I learned, the workflow and all that stuff. So I was ready to go and felt like I was already a professional by the time I started doing Ad Astra, and I'm still learning every week on that show. But essentially the elevator pitch was Elemental FM is a network that I recently started in its baby stages, that the overarching theme of the network is things you probably got picked on for in high school. And then each show has its own like super specific niche, where we have other social media influencers or community leaders who have a following in a different market. I'll take them and turn them into podcasters and give them a voice and give them, a different community to reach to through a different platform. I feel like that was a little less eloquent than when I got down to the conference, but I want to find people who are experts, who might be, streamers or YouTubers, Instagrammers, and
you leave the YouTubers out of this, Tom.
And then
we don't talk about them here,
and then turn them into podcasters. So it's like my role is like the producer and like artist development. So Andrew thought
you've been talking to YouTubers, dude?
No, dude, no way.
Tom, I need you to look me in the fucking eyes and tell me you're not talking to YouTubers, dude.
Not a single one, dude. F them all.
All right, cool. All right, fine.
So again, I feel like I'm struggling to like. There's so many
fucking YouTubers, dude. The one group, dude. I'm done. Keep going.
There are so many things that I did and so many people I met. I'm like having a hard time trying to, put it all into like 45 minutes or less. But the absolute best takeaway from this was Andrew was asking me about how I edit shows and how I mix them. He said editing as like a blanket term. And he was like, well, I think we could really use someone to help my editor make our shows, sound better, like better quality. And, this is after I told him that like, I like editing because there's a right and a wrong. I get obsessive over finding the right thing. And he was like, well, isn't right subjective? And I was like, no, I know what's right. And
right.
Like, I know that he likes strong personalities. So I was kind of giving him my more confident self.
Which is something you've been just playing with recently, right?
Yeah.
You were fighting with those loan sharks.
Right. And like, I didn't think that I would feel so comfortable talking to him, but I felt like I'd known him for years or something. Like we just had a really good vibe. So he was like, I know you have your laptop on you, pull it out and show me one of your mixing sessions. So I pulled my computer out and he was like, oh my God, like just seeing all the plugins and stuff on everything. And he asked me like why I do all this. Like, can't you just put out a show that'll sound good enough and people won't even know the difference? I was like, yeah, I mean, but I will, it's something I want to be proud of. I want to be the best. I want to have the best sounding shows. And I know that, realistically we don't, but they sound pretty damn good. And he was like, well, do you think that you can help my editor make our show sound better like this? And I was like, well, you have to understand, like, there's a difference between mixing and editing. Like, editing is going to make, the flow of things better, take out any background noise. Mixing is probably what you're looking for, because he doesn't edit his shows at all. I was like, he wants somebody who can mix. And he, like, just kind of looked at me and was like, I'm really glad that you just corrected me, because I feel like most people probably wouldn't have. You said you were a perfectionist, and you just proved it, and you just proved how much you actually care by correcting me and telling me that, like, what I said was stupid or wrong or whatever. And, like, it seemed like he was, like, impressed or something. Like telling him that he didn't really, like,
well, you weren't
he got it
both
wrong.
Him.
Right. So he was like, well, maybe I should just hire you to do my show. And I was like, you should, because I will,
Right.
And he was asking me more questions about, like, my background with the editing, and he started asking me a lot of questions about, like, where I learned to mix and how I think I can make his show better, and sound better. And I was like, well, dude, I can come down to, like, where you record and, like, help you with sound conditioning, and if your editor's interested, I can give him, like, different workflow improvements to make it faster, and give you some of the tools. And he's like, seriously, I think maybe we should just have you do our shows. It's like, oh my God, dude. Well, yes, And then, like, some guy came in, and Andrew was like, oh crap, I gotta go. And he, like, went off with this guy. So yeah, he's like, but I want to talk to you tomorrow. And we ended up not getting a chance to meet up, but he texted me when he was on his way to the airport and was like, let's definitely keep talking. I'm interested in doing some work together. And I was like, well, yeah, if you need any help, I would be more than willing to help you with whatever you need. I can make your show sound, however you want it to. I'll make it sound great.
Right. You're the dude.
And then I started feeling self-conscious. It feels like when you're talking to a girl for the first time and, like, she doesn't respond after 2 minutes, and you're like, oh, did I say the right thing? Was she, like,
Yeah.
So I send a follow-up text, and I was like, just to be clear, I'm not trying to, like, sell you on anything. I just, like, your show helped me out a lot discovering, like, who I was as a person. I just, like, want to be able to give back. And he, like, immediately responded with, like, I wouldn't care if you were trying to sell me something. I still think we should work together.
Yeah, you need to stop being so apologetic. I think he's, like, gonna pay you to do something, so I would just relax for a minute.
Right. So, like, I need to keep the conversation
and he's
going.
not gonna pay you to do sex, so we're gonna cross that right off right now. It's probably gonna be sound editing related, and that's a good thing, because you're good at that. Not that you're not good at the other thing, because you're very skilled in many areas. But that's incredible news, my man. That is really, really good.
Yeah.
Have you spoken to him since?
I texted him.
Wait, is this the original Scotch and Root Beer dude, or is this the other Scotch and Root Beer dude that gets the conversations out of people?
This is the Scotch and Root Beer guy. I think he's the only one. Yeah.
The one that you did talk to last week.
The one that I did talk to last week, yeah.
And he's associated with which network?
So it's like he sells, like, a community of entrepreneurs called Mixergy, and he has a podcast where he interviews the entrepreneurs that right.
And this all happened at an Econo Lodge in Anaheim, dude?
No, this happened at the Marriott.
Oh, the Marriott, dude?
The Marriott was dope, and if they want to pay me to say that, I'll say it all they want.
And there were fucking YouTubers involved, dude?
I don't think there were any YouTubers there, to be honest.
Dude, okay, fine. I believe you.
It's not
but that's incredible.
Man. Yeah.
So when do you expect to hear from him?
Well, I texted him after the conference. I went out to San Clemente to spend the weekend with my sister, which was great. I have a lot of feelings about that. Let's just do it. That's more important than what I was going to say.
So we've concluded what were the 3 things you learned, or do you not even want to do that? The main big headline is I might do work with entrepreneur dude.
Yeah,
and I might get paid to do it, and it might happen soon.
One. Oh God, another big thing. I didn't even tell you about this. The
Could
Vice
this be like
guy,
a salary job?
I don't know. I hope so.
Like you could quit your tile
I hope so. I mean,
like that's what he was hinting at.
He gave a glimpse in one of his shows about how much he sells his ads for, and it's like more money than I can fathom making on a podcast.
So he could afford you as an editor.
Yes, he could afford anyone as an editor.
Right. Okay. And you're the best, so he should want the best.
I don't know about
if
that.
you're listening, Mike or Nathan, I forget your name already. Andrew. Tom's good at his job. Please hire him.
I'm very attentive to
try
details.
to make that sound way more hardcore. Listen up, you. My friend's good, and he's nice.
Okay, so that's number one. That's the biggest thing
that
that came
part
out.
I hate everything about what I just did, but
Will do.
Yes. Well, you don't have to. Well, you do. I don't know. I hate bossing you around like that sometimes. Like, Tom, that was dumb, but also I mean it. Okay, goodbye. So you've finished the last of 3 pizzas. 3 days have gone by, and you're on your way to see your sister in Los Angeles.
I want to back up a little bit, just a little bit.
God damn. Oh yeah, okay.
So, I did have. I'm lactose intolerant, and
Was there cheese on this pizza?
a lot of cheese. I had cheese in the morning and at night.
Does that count? Right, like that counts.
And the cheapest thing to eat at the hotel for lunch was like this Alfredo pasta from Pizza Hut. So I just had dairy for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 3 days in a row.
On the road, dude.
It was wicked.
What happens next?
So now,
from a bathroom standpoint, I'm worried about you.
It's now day 3, the last day of Podcast Movement, and the owner of Vice, he is asking me about, what shows I do. Like, we kind of really connected. Like, he was a really nice guy. He's like written a book. He's been writing for Vice for years. Pretty successful, and he's asking me about the shows that I do. And when I'm telling him about Ad Astra, he kind of like perked up, and he was saying like, the science editor at Vice would probably be interested in something like this, like writing a paper based on something we talked about on Ad Astra. And I was trying to understand how he would fit us into it, but I think it was like Vice would cover something that we had talked about and then use the guys from the podcast as correspondents and then plug the podcast through that, like in a Vice article. And I was like,
that would be ultimately good.
I was like, yes, dude. Like, what do we do? He's like, well, I've written for the science editor a lot, and they're the hardest like place to get into because their editor is like only wants the best of the best of the best. But I think he would go for something like this. Email me next week, and like we can work on like some kind of pitch to send to him and see if it's something that he wants to take. And he was like, I'll help you, try to get this article or this pitch for an article in front of him. And like, that could be huge, man, So,
yes, that would be significant.
Yeah. So just big, hopefully big things could be happening. Who knows? I need to follow up with all of them and make sure that I do as much as I can to make, the chances of them happening better. But yeah, so those are the biggest takeaways from the conference. It was a lot of fun.
So Ad Astra might be getting some much deserved love.
I hope so. I really do. We all put a lot of work into it.
That'd be ultimately good for the network,
for sure.
I would say. Some might argue.
Yeah. Couldn't be bad. So yeah, I go to my sister's in San Clemente. I like take an Uber to meet her at work. She takes me back to San Clemente, where I haven't been since I was 12, I think. She lives in this really cool house with my, I call her my cousin. There's like no relation, but she lives there with her and another girl. And like I haven't seen my cousin since I was 12 either. Like she was part of my stepdad's family, who hasn't been in my family since I was 13. They would visit Erie every year for like 2 weeks, and it was like the highlight of my year when like Casey, Allie, and Tommy came into town. It was like the best. That's what I lived for. So I saw them for the first time in like literally half a lifetime, and they came over. I hadn't seen Tommy since he was like 10, and he's like, 24 now or something. And it was so awesome talking to them and just being around people like from my past that we can like reminisce a little bit, but also talk about like what's happened since the last time we've seen, what we're doing, what we're working towards, and just having like all these people here. It was only like, it was my sister, her boyfriend, my cousin Casey, her boyfriend, my cousin Tommy, and then my sister's roommate. So it was like 6 people. And we like played some weird game and we were all talking and laughing and listening to music. It made me realize how fucking lonely I am in Denver. And it was like,
I was kind of waiting for this day for you to admit that.
It was like this like euphoria of like just hanging out, man. Like,
yeah, with old friends.
Yeah. I mean, God, it was so amazing.
And fam.
And, seeing my sister, like, we don't ever, anytime that we have together is like either rushed or like we're kind of scattered around a little bit. Like, it was so awesome to just chill. And we like went to the beach and went slacklining and just, oh God, I'm so lonely, man. And it's like,
yeah,
I don't need that like all the time. Like there's a lot, I really do enjoy like a Saturday to myself to like play some video games, work on the website, publish like a blog post or something. But like, I'm even thinking of like, if I were to like become really good friends with people here now, I don't think it would still be the same because it's not like you have that little bit of your childhood to like retreat to and go back to, like the adventures that we had, like, climbing around underneath my grandma's like above ground pool and like finding like bird skeletons and like, lurking around in these like little wood platforms underneath the pool. Like, that's just stuff we did as a kid, and it made me like remember that and want to just like, let's go out and adventure, man. Let's go do something. Like, I don't know if like a new relationship can really bring on that kind of like stuff, but like, I don't know, dude. It really was eye opening. Yeah, it really like f***ed with my head a bit. I'm still trying to grasp that.
I mean, we talked about how it's hard to move to a new town, which is exactly what you just did. Although not just. I mean,
it's been like 9 months.
Podcast thing for a little while now, and you've lived there for almost a year. Do you have any like circles that you run in? You have work friends. That's a start, right?
I mean, there's people that I really enjoy hanging out with at work, and I'm sure I would enjoy hanging out with them outside of work. But I feel like there's a little bit of resistance about like actually doing it. And I don't know why. I guess it's like, it's something like we have a limit.
They made, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, have they made it sound like they want to be pals? I mean, like, do you really want to live in Denver for the rest of your life? Because you're probably going to end up having to make better than just acquaintances. You know what I'm saying?
This is another thing that messes with my head too. I love California so much.
I feel like you just need to get out more, man. Like, you keep going to places that are like known good, and it's good to be there. But I mean, like, there's a difference between being home, and there's a difference between hanging with friends, and there's a difference between being in good places, either alone or with good people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a fine line. I feel like that's, I don't know, a lesson worth learning. Like, what defines home and what defines this or that, or what you want out of each place or time period or visit or people in your life, etc.
Yeah, I really do think I just need to get out more because, like, I've been wanting to find people who do podcasting, but like, there's
got to be a Denver podcasting community.
I was on Meetup when I first moved here, and I didn't really see anything like that. There was a bunch of like Denver small business or like entrepreneurs groups, but like, dude, I had so much fun just talking to podcasters all week. And maybe that was just like part of the magic of like being at the conference or like in Southern California are like, I don't know, dude. It was just like the friends that I made there, I feel so close to them in just like maybe 5 total hours of being face to face with each other. I just wish we could all live in the same city, you know? Like I'm sure there's people like that in
isn't
Denver.
it Vine Street that all the Vine stars live on?
Is that a real thing?
No, I honestly think they do. Like, there's a Vine Street in LA that Vine stars live on.
What?
I think. I don't know. I know. I like have a vague understanding of what the Paul brothers are about because one of them went to OU. Anyway, I don't want to talk about YouTubers and I don't want to talk about Vine stars. We've been over this a million times, Tom.
Vine's dead, dude.
Yeah, but the YouTubers will never die, ever. You can't kill them. So I guess my question is like, what are you gonna do, man? Sounds like you learned a ton, both about your professional life and your personal life. What's a boy to do?
Well, for right now, I have 3 shows that I need to put out in like the next 2 days, so that's my focus. But I do.
If you get this job with this dude, are you gonna have people pay to be on Elemental?
No, I don't.
Or are you going to shut down Elemental?
No, dude. I mean, he only puts out like 1 show a week. It wouldn't even be full time.
Yeah, but you would have enough pay to be full time?
I don't know. I just know that he has the money to pay what an editor should be paid. I don't know if he would.
Is that enough money to survive in Denver?
Not off 1 episode a week. If I was doing like 2 a day, definitely I could make pretty good money with someone of his, level of success. So, but that'll get me, more in that world and maybe get me some connections. Like it would be a huge step in the right direction. Because right now I feel like my current job doing solar is like it's fine, but it's not. It's a step to the side or maybe parallel to what I'm trying to do. It's just not even on the same path. Like
at best, I was going to say, good God.
I want to at least get on the path. You know what I mean?
Like, could you even hear yourself talk?
About
like I feel like, why are you trying to justify the roofing job at all? Other than to make money until you can no longer.
Right. I mean, it's not in the same arena. It's just whatever. It's just what I do for money, So
you're just really hoping, now you're just waiting for a call that could slowly start to change everything?
Kind of. I'm going to keep doing other stuff, in case none of that works out. Do
you think you'll stay in Denver for 10 years?
I don't know, man. I never thought that like this had to be permanent. You know what I mean? Like I still love it, but I don't know, dude. There's something about California. Like Megan always.
What if he asked you to move to California?
I probably would.
Mm-hmm. Would you live with your sister at first, or?
Well, he lives up in San Francisco. I wouldn't have to. Like,
oh, okay.
I wouldn't have to be in San Francisco in order to think I would want to be. I don't know, dude. I would be much more open to moving if there was a lot of money elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like I would move for a high-paying job. No problem. As long as Megan came with me and the dog.
Would she?
I don't know. I mean, she's on a pretty good...
Levi would come with you.
She's on a really good path right now with her current job. And like, she's making a lot of friends at work. And like, I've been hanging out with her friends too. And like, it's...
So you guys have a good thing going.
Yeah, we're at least...
You're doing the damn thing.
Yeah. So,
and by that I mean living in a new town,
right?
Like you're there, you're Coloradoans for the moment, and you're doing it, you're living that.
But like, I feel like I don't have a super special connection to Colorado or Denver. Like it is great, and I love it. And
but didn't you say literally like days ago that you were like, I don't know, there's something about the mountains, just like you're saying, there's something about California right now.
I love the mountains. I love
not
looking
to like
at
call
them
you out
every
too
day.
Hardcore, but like. I don't know.
No, I know,
like
and I do love
I'm
them.
just trying to kind of sort through it and pick up what you're putting down.
I do love the mountains, and being in them is pretty cool. But like, I don't like hiking. I don't want to drive an hour to go just walk around. Like, I don't feel like I can take advantage of the mountains other than just looking at them.
You move to Albuquerque, you just wake up and see one every day.
Well, that's what it feels like in Denver. But what am I going to do with them?
Albuquerque's a cheap place to do a startup, I bet.
Yeah.
Cheap rent anyway.
Oh, I don't know, Pat.
Perfect weather. Zach would go there with you.
Just going a day at a time.
If you two were there, I'd come back. I'd probably.
Nuh-uh.
I don't know. Why not?
You had just got to Cincinnati, which we are 50-some minutes in, and we haven't even talked about.
Well, we're probably not going to get to that this week.
Really?
This was I don't know. We'll save it. Okay. We'll talk about it, but I want to cut it off of this episode just because this was a Tom episode, if you will.
Oh, God. That's too much pressure.
It's already over. You got to work on your anxiety, man. Like, dude, that's so much pressure. It's like, no, it's over, man. It literally already happened. You took part in it.
Right. So overall, like, it was totally worth my money. And I am very interested in going to it next year, which is in Philadelphia. The problem is it ends 2 days before I'm supposed to be getting married in Vermont. Bum, bum, bum. But so I've already been kind of pushing against our current wedding plans. I want to cancel it because it's already over $15,000 and we still need more stuff to make like a complete wedding. That doesn't even include like the dress or anything. So like I cannot justify that much money being spent. I think we can do it elsewhere for a quarter of that price, definitely. And then I can go to Podcast Movement as well. I'm also looking at going to Podcon in Seattle because Mike Hurley, who is the guy I reached out to about being my mentor. He is the founder of Relay FM. He's got a very nice beard, and I listened to like 18 shows that he's on. That's only $100, and it's like essentially VidCon for podcasters, and VidCon is like a huge deal for those who shall not be named, who make short videos for the internet on a website that ends with tube. Yeah, it's all about
the heroes of a generation.
So anyway, I might go to that to like
YouTubers, man.
So we need to figure out, do I bleep God or do I bleep damn? I think God.
I don't know, but
right?
I'm just laughing thinking about you bleeping both and then bleeping each of the word, both words as you say it and breaking down to figure out what to bleep.
Feel self-conscious.
It's like bleep, bleep. Wait, should I bleep, bleep or should I bleep, bleep? Anyway, you should go to every podcast conference in the next
I want to
16 months.
I want to.
Fine, then do it.
It was so much fun.
Do it.
But we'll see.
Yeah, I guess we will. Yeah. And then, okay, so you don't know. Okay. Well, it sounds like your life is like your mental state is better, but your life's more in flux than it was 6 months ago. At the same time, somehow.
I was at an all-time high coming back from the conference, and then immediately I'm getting phone calls from like the student loan debt collectors, and was like literally in tears yesterday over this student loan stuff. So it was amazing how quickly reality slapped me in the but I'm still trying to channel the vibes from, you know, not only the conference, but just being with like my sister and seeing my cousins again. Like, it was so awesome, and it made me feel like life isn't that bad. It can be good, you know? Like, I'm in a really bad situation right now, but it almost seemed like light at the end of the tunnel a little bit, or like gave me like some glimmer of hope.
Try to fill your minutes with something, you know? Yeah.
So that, I feel like I needed that. While it can't last forever, that feeling, I needed it, so I know that it's there. But
you could like
still
try to fill your schedule. You know what I mean?
It's a lot, dude. There's a whole lot that's going to be on my mind for a very long time.
Yeah.
I will never forget that week.
Well, that's good. That's a good place to end as any. You just staring off in the distance saying, I'll never forget that week.
I was too. Do you want to do highlight and song?
Yeah. I forget what I was supposed to listen to
oh my God.
for you.
It was forever ago.
It was like a month.
Don't worry about it.
We're starting
over.
fresh.
Okay.
Okay.
Highlight first.
Happy episode 40, by the way.
41.
My highlight of the week is that I got to see some pretty good friends that I wouldn't have otherwise made a point to see, I guess. That might sound a little cruel, but there was a wedding in Akron.
Okay, yeah.
It was actually in Aurora, Ohio. So I went up to clear out my stuff from my apartment and hand in my keys. And just as water started coming through the roof, I had to go get my hair cut for the wedding. And the lady came and I passed off my keys. And I was like, so we're good on the security deposit? As like water rained down. He was like, yeah, I think we're going to be okay. And so I raced out and threw on my tie on the drive. And I got half lost because I didn't have the exact address. I had left that in Cincinnati. And I rushed down to Aurora, Ohio. And I'm going down the one road in the little town. And I was trying to call all the people, they're in the mass for the wedding. And I just happened to see a bunch of suits starting to come out of the church. So I do a U, spin around, go into the parking lot, tuck in my shirt, throw on my sport coat, go in through the back of the church and meet up with my friends from OU that had worked for the Post when I was there. And despite missing the entire ceremony, I was able to walk with them through the doors and greet the bride and groom on our way out. Just as I'm like buttoning the top button on my sport coat. So that was pretty good. And so it was actually a blessing in disguise that water came through my roof and shit was going crazy. Because, just like, I don't know. It was just kind of nice. The landlord lady like, yeah, I think we're going to be okay. So it ended up being kind of perfect. And then we went to Akron where the hotel and the reception was. And had a lot of fun. And it was good farewell. I was going to try to go from the wedding to Berea for this Browns luau with the Berea wiffle ball dudes that own the Browns bus that I've been playing wiffle ball with for the past couple summers while living in Cleveland. But I was in no shape to drive after the wedding reception, as you can imagine. And but still a pretty good farewell to Northeast Ohio for now. And then I made a pretty hungover drive down I-71 to Cincinnati on Sunday and started my second week of work here in the Queen City. Wow. Yeah, so my highlight is that I got to see some good friends and say goodbye to Cleveland. And, it happened. Now I'm super officially a Cincinnati resident. And we'll get more into that some other time.
Yeah, dude, I cannot wait for you to talk the entire time next week.
I just spilled the whole thing. I mean, that's the most exciting part.
Oh, come on,
it's like
dude. Whatever.
The water through the roof, walking into the church in the nick of time. Like all that stuff that's about all I had. We'll talk more later. But yeah, it was good. And then yours is, I'm guessing, the job offer from one of your favorite podcast hosts?
Not a job offer, but no, it's not.
Oh, what?
It actually has nothing to do with podcast movement.
Okay.
I saw a solar eclipse at Totality in Glendo, Wyoming.
Whatever. Yeah.
And I'm not kidding you, Pat. That was the best experience of my entire fucking life.
Okay.
And it probably will be forever. I'm not saying it wasn't good.
Okay, explain why it had this effect on you.
Oh, God, I feel like I could talk for another hour about this. I'm not even kidding. Because actually the trip up to Wyoming was very exciting.
Well, this is the Tom episode. I mean, just lay it on me.
All right, so I saw a picture of a solar eclipse in second or third grade in a science book, like the totality and the diamond ring, and I thought, that's the coolest thing ever. Like, I can't believe something like that happens in nature. And, back in the day, people thought it was like God mad at them taking the sun away, which is like crazy. But now that we know what it is, it's like, just super fascinating to me. And not only that, this is the only planet we know of that has a moon the exact right size and distance to just perfectly block the sun. Which is like, how lucky are we? You know, like out of all the places we could have been, or all the places that this could have been, it's perfect, for us to see every couple decades or so. And Megan was very anxious that I didn't have a plan. I just knew we were going to go to Wyoming because that's where Totality was.
How far was the drive supposed to be?
It was like 3 hours was supposed to be.
That's not bad.
So we left the day before. We stopped at Cheyenne, Wyoming, because we didn't have Eclipse glasses. We didn't have a place to stay. And they were like hotel rooms that the ones that weren't sold out were like $3,000 for the night. Because, this was a town of like 800 people, and there were like...
It was their chance to make their nut for the next decade.
Right. So like... We stop in Cheyenne, and we are running all over the town trying to find a pair of Eclipse glasses, which are sold out everywhere. We found this random like country bar, or no, it was like a liquor store selling these like, I'll have to take a picture. They'll be in the show notes. elemental.fm/reminiscent/
You snuck in a show notes plug, you crafty.
There are these solar eclipse glasses that we bought, made in China, that are the glasses that have a cowboy hat on them and a general image of what an eclipse looks like, and then an American flag. You'll have to see it. It is just the quintessential Chinese made shit, but they worked. And they were NASA, the code was like they were legit. They weren't fake glasses. We found the glasses. We're driving and we get to the place. It's dark out, and there are people renting out spaces in their backyard for like $200. That's crazy. So we find this field where they're renting out space for $100 so you can set up a tent. And I thought, that's also crazy. This is a massive field, and there were literally hundreds of tents set up. We look slightly to the left. There's a road in between this field and another field, and there's no one in there. And there were like no gatekeepers. So we just set up a tent and slept for free next to people who were just spending like $100 to pitch a tent. I was like, I didn't make any plans. I just thought we'd fly by the seat of our pants and it would work out. And it did. It was perfect. We got a viewing spot at Totality right off the highway. And I had never seen an eclipse. And I just figured, it's going to gradually get dimmer until it's dark. You're going to see Totality, and then it'll slowly become brighter again. And like, looking through the eclipse glasses, you can see the moon in front of the sun, but obviously the sun's so bright, you can't see the moon anywhere around it. So I could see how like all of a sudden the sun just like turning out, 15,000 years ago would be horrifying.
Right. Noticeably darker outside.
So it didn't start looking darker outside until it was at about like 90%. And it was like, I've seen cloud cover that's affected the sun more than this eclipse did. And again, there's not a cloud in the sky. It couldn't have been better, Pat. It was perfect. And I'm looking through the glasses. You can see a tiny sliver of the sun, but it's still like just a little bit dark. And then like fucking boom, lights out. You could see stars. It was like it was midnight at 11:47 in the morning, a.m. And you look up, you take the glasses off, and you can just see this perfectly black hole in the middle of this glowing white ring. And I just stared at it and just started screaming. Like it was like I was waiting my whole life for this moment. And I've been waiting pretty pretty anxiously since I found out about it for 2 years, and it happened, and I knew that it would be amazing. I knew it would be the best thing I've ever seen in my life, but I don't think words can describe the feeling of just like looking at this thing. I never wanted it to end, you know, and Ad Astra, the space policy and technology show on this network, I'm going to plug them too. They drove 8 hours to Tennessee and 17 hours back to see this eclipse at totality. They have 3 people on the show who went with them trying to describe what it was like, and there are just no words. It was the best thing that has ever happened to me. And I know that sounds crazy because it kind of happened to like a lot of people, and I might see it again in 7 years when it comes back around, but I don't know, man. I cannot describe the way that I felt when I was looking up at that. It was just like the most beautiful thing in the world.
Well, that's the most impassioned highlight of the week I think we've had so far in this program.
Probably.
Pretty good. Well, we can go do 2024s in the Erie, PA.
Yeah, dude. It goes right through where we grew up. It's going to go right through my dad's backyard on the lake. But I know it is very cloudy in April. We might not see it. So,
well, you guys can fly into Cincinnati. We'll drive up to Dayton. We can see it there. Or maybe we'll go into find a state park in rural Indiana to watch it or something.
Sure, man. I would love that so much.
Because it's passing but just north. Totality's like just north of Cincinnati too.
Also, something else cool. Totality was 2 minutes and 28 seconds for us. It's going from Mexico up to Vermont. And totality is going to be like 4.5 minutes. And I'll tell you, man, 2.5 minutes felt like a lifetime. So it's going to be great.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's coming right through our backyard, literally. So we'll figure something out. Yeah, sure. In Cincinnati, we had like 93% or something. And it got a little darker, but yeah, it wasn't anything like you just described.
But yeah, dude, sure. I mean, even 99% wouldn't have seen what we saw. You know, like it had to be 100, like
right in the middle of the center line, or
right. I mean, dead center. We were dead center. Yeah, it was just.
It sounds great.
It was amazing.
We'll do 2024 appropriately
for sure. You want to go song of the week?
Oh yeah, I'll open the floor for you, my good sir.
Do you know what I'm going to say?
Is it? Don't no. Go for it. No, I don't know. Yeah, go for it.
John.
Taylor Swift's new song, even though I hated it the first time I heard it.
Okay, I'm not a fan. I gotta say.
I hated it. We were listening to it at the luau with the guys that I just met. I put a photo of it on our elemental.fm Instagram. We were all crowded around this phone. And I remember just being like, is this worse than the Katy Perry just put out? You know? Like,
right. Like somehow.
Yeah. But dude, I've been listening to it pretty much nonstop because I think that song was intentionally supposed to be very abrasive to a lot of people. I think that's all part of the plan. So I was trying to appreciate it for what I thought it was supposed to be. And then it just got stuck in my head. And then I saw the music video, and it is a crazy music video. It was really, really insane. So I am a fan of the song now, kind of, but I know what I think that this song is something that people aren't going to like, but they love Taylor, so they're going to bend over backwards to try to justify the song, learn to like it, get their expectations and their standards lowered, so when she releases the album with all the bangers on it, it's going to seem even better. That's my thought.
I think she's taken a dive so that her comeback country album will be that much more anticipated.
Whoa. Are you serious right now?
How's that for a hot take? Dom?
Are you for real, though?
I think so. I think it's possible.
Wow.
I mean, nobody wants to see somebody succeed all the time, right? Like, take a weird artistic dive take a big swing, and if it hits, it hits, and if you miss, you just get to like be the sympathetic figure that comes crawling back to country, to your roots, and you know what I mean? Play a bunch of small venues in Nashville and doing like a new country album. I don't know. At some point, she's going to come back to earth, or maybe not. I don't know, but burn out in the pop game and come back strong with a much anticipated, report. Taylor Swift's next album, she's returning to her country roots. Oh, like. So I don't know. I'm not saying she's throwing the album. I think she's going to take a big swing, but I don't know. Just the thought I had when I heard the song, I was like, okay.
Interesting.
But there was a tweet that I liked that was basically something along the lines of, they showed a picture of Kanye taking the VMA from like 8 years ago out of Taylor Swift's hands. It was like, me then. Oh, that was strange. Me now. Huh. I did not see that coming. It threw both of them into a decade-long mental illness spiral. Like I was like, damn, that's basically, yeah, who knew? But yeah, I am intrigued. I liked Red a lot. I didn't like 1989 as much, but I didn't like this new single. We'll see how the album is, I guess. Part of me kind of doesn't care, just a bit based on all those hullabaloo around this one bad song and the VMA music video release. And I don't know. I just think it's possible she needs to come back down to earth a little bit to provide the more guitar-based comeback album after burning out a little bit.
Okay.
And like diving too deep into the Katy Perry feud. I think they both need to leave each other alone and just both return. And like nobody wants to see both of them coming out with shitty albums attacking each other. You know what I mean? Like that's the worst version of a feud. They should be trying to, I'm not saying they should collaborate on each of their next albums, but it's like, come on. Yeah, come on. Like if both of them are putting out bad music, then nobody wins. Literally, not even the fans.
Yeah.
So, Katy Perry's music video for Swish Swish was just so cringe-worthy.
I didn't even see the video. The song's awful though.
I watched the first 10 seconds. I was like, this is not okay. Whatever. This is getting bad. I regret doing a feud podcast.
Oh man.
No, I don't. It was fun, but also now it's like, okay, it's over. Just let's stop this, please. For the sake of everyone, including Kanye. This is getting blown out of proportion. Kanye hasn't come out with, I don't want to kick anything up, but I want Kanye to come out with Dark Twisted Fantasy level shit. I want Taylor to come out with, I don't know, even go back to Speak Now, Who Gives a F***, and Katy Perry to come back to, what was the album the California Girls was on?
Oh, I don't know.
The one with the cherry on top or whatever. But, I don't know. I think they've all gone astray, man. It's a sad state of affairs. But that doesn't matter. My song of the week is Parquet Chords featuring Bun B, which is an odd combination. But it's called Captive of the Sun, and it's interesting. I don't like Parquet Chords that much, or at least I'm not that familiar with them, but I like when Bun B comes in. It's like a weird, like not surf metal, but like surf whatever group with a bad vocalist and then a rapper kind of collaborating for like a weird summery jam that's a little darker, but I found myself enjoying it for whatever reason.
Awesome. Well, those will be in the show notes again.
So this week's songs are both ones that are not super pleasing to the ears the first go around. So we're on theme, I guess.
Well, man, I hated the Postal Service the first time that I heard them. I did not like a couple bands. I think even like the Dangerous Summer, I didn't really vibe them. I hated Rookie
you don't even
of the
like
Year.
the Beatles, so everything. I take literally every music recommendation you've ever given me with a grain of salt. Quite frankly,
I know. All I'm saying is some bands that I've didn't like for the first time hearing. Angels and Airwaves, Rookie of the Year.
Damn.
Yeah, now some of my favorites of all time. So
yeah, and there's a lesson in there, but we'll get to that later. We'll figure it out some other time.
All right, man. It's about that time. I'm sorry, dude. I'm so anxious to hear about what's been going on.
You know more than you think. Your stuff was more exciting. Trust me when I say it's better that it was a Tom episode. Your highlight of the week was like more exciting than most of the things we had to catch up on. So we'll come up with it'll be good. It'll be good.
All right. Well, show notes, elemental.fm/reminiscent/41. Links to the blog post, maybe some Eclipse pictures, shows. Also, I don't even know if I've told you this. Matt, our listener Matt, created a Spotify playlist with all the songs that we've recommended that are on Spotify are in a playlist.
I like that.
I'll put a link to that in the show notes too, because it was kind of awesome. Like I forgot about a bunch of them.
Yeah, he's part of the fam. He's part of the fam
for sure. So yeah, link to that.
That was super cool. It's gonna be a weird playlist because of the wide range. It's gonna be a pretty eclectic mix.
No cohesion at all.
Yeah, genres and moods. Like we'll have to break it up into subsections. But like if you played it at a dentist office one day, people would be highly disturbed. But nonetheless, super cool that he did that. I'll have to go back and revisit it.
Yeah, skip over all mine.
Oh my God, Tom.
Whatever.
You quit being so nervous on your own podcast.
Hate me, you don't even like me.
Oh my God, dude. Tom, you brought this on yourself by one, mentioning YouTubers so much. How dare you? In our own home. Two, I don't know. I don't hate you for not liking the Beatles. I just think you're lying. That's all.
Okay.
But I hope you get this job. That sounds great. He's going to hire you and give you 6 figures to do 3 shows a day.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I think anybody would. Sounds like you made the best connections ever. This is just like, I feel like this whole show was a highlight of the week.
Yeah.
And why are you feeling so down?
No, I'm just joking. I feel great.
Well, you don't have to feel great. I mean,
I feel
okay,
stuff. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, well, hey, what more could you want? You can't win them all.
Right.
You can't win them all.
Well, I won last week.
How's that for some sage advice? Well, after all that, folks, you can't win them all. And that's thanks for spending an hour and 20 minutes with us, gang, for that one little piece of fortune cookie bullshit. Bye.
Bye, Pat.
Anyway. All right. Anyway, yeah, but for real, bye.
Love you, dude. Bye.
Love you too.